Hello scholars, welcome to Dakshina Classroom. In the last lecture of electromagnetic induction, we had talked about growth and decay of current in an LR circuit. What is an LR circuit? A circuit in which both a resistor and an inductor is connected to a battery. So in case, if you remember, in case of a decay of current, even after the battery is removed, there is some amount of current up to some time. So battery is your power source. So if the battery is removed, power source is removed, then who is supplying that energy for the flow of current? So we will talk about that. As in the case of capacitors, same is the case of inductors, that there is some amount of energy stored in case of an inductor. So first topic that we are going to talk about is energy stored. Energy stored in an inductor, that we will talk about. Now the second, if you remember the case of capacitors, in case of electric field, there is some energy density of your electric field. Same is the case here. There will be some energy density of magnetic field. So second topic that we will talk about is energy density of magnetic field. Now there are two very small subtopics that are left that we will discuss. That is, we have discussed the inductors, but we have not discussed that what happens if two inductors or more than two inductors are connected in series or parallel. So third topic we will talk about is series combination of inductors. And similarly, fourth we will talk about is, you can guess, parallel combination of inductors. So these are the four topics that we are going to discuss in today's lectures. Pause the video, note them down, then we will start discussing what is energy stored in an inductor. So as in the case of electric field, there is also energy associated with a magnetic field. Now in order to understand that how much energy will be stored in an inductor, your inductor is nothing but a solenoid. So how much energy will be stored in this? Let us take a circuit. In this circuit there is an inductor, there is a resistor, and there is a battery of EMF E. Now here there is a switch. So if at t equal to 0, I close this switch at t equals 0. Before t equal to 0, there was no current flowing. But when I close the switch, there will be some current. And as we have already studied in the last lecture, that this current is time dependent because of your inductor. Now what was that equation of this current? Equation that we have already derived. Now in case there is a current, because of this current there will be magnetic field produced in this inductor. And since there is magnetic field produced in this inductor, there will be some amount of energy stored in that magnetic field. Now from where that energy will come from? That energy will come from your battery. Because what is happening? Because there is a current, there is a flow of charge. And since charges are moving, some work is done on those charges. Now who is doing that work? That work is done by your battery of EMF. So the work done by battery, some work appears as the heat produced across the resistor, and some of that work appears as the energy stored in the inductor. Now let us try to find how we can calculate that how much energy is stored in your inductor. So let us apply loop law. So if I apply loop law on this circuit, we have already studied that equation may be written as EMF minus L di by dt minus I times R, and that is equal to 0. We can write it like this. Now let us try to rearrange it a little bit. I can also write it like this: EMF equals to I times R plus L di by dt. I can write it like this. Let us multiply both sides by dt. What I will get? EMF times dt equals I times R dt plus L di, like this. Let us again multiply both sides by I. What I will get? EMF I dt equals I square R dt plus L I di. Now if I integrate this, now here it is dt function. Dt will vary from where? Initially t equal to 0, switch is closed. So dt will vary from 0 to t. Here also dt will vary from 0 to t. This current at t equal to 0, current is how much? Current is 0. So t equal to 0, current is 0. And after t, current is I. So 0 to I. Now here this is what? If you pay attention, I dt. What is I dt? Your current is what? Current is nothing but dq by dt. Current is nothing but amount of charge flowing per unit time. That is your current. So I dt is nothing but dq. So I dt is nothing but dq. So this is nothing but work done by the battery in dt time. So if I integrate this total, that will be what? That will be work done by battery on moving the charges from t equal to 0 to time t. That will be total work. So let us write that as W. What is this? I square R dt. What is the heat produced in your resistor? Heat produced in your resistor is nothing but I square R times T. So I square R dt is nothing but heat produced in your resistor from 0 to time t. So this will be nothing but heat generated in your resistor. Right now we are not interested in heat generated. Right now we are interested in finding the how much energy is stored in your inductor. So that is why I am not calculating this entire integration. Because if you go calculating this, then I will be a function of time. Then you will have to integrate with respect to t. But right now that is not our goal. Our goal is not to calculate the heat. Our goal is to calculate the energy stored. So I am just going to write it as heat generated plus here L times I di. So I di will be what? I square by 2. So that can be written as L I square by 2. From where to where? From 0 to I. So write this equation one more time. What you will get? Work done by battery. Now battery is doing some work. If there was no inductor, all of the work would have gone to heat generated. Now here, work done by battery goes to two places. Number one, heat generated in the resistor. Number two, energy stored in your inductor. So work done by battery is heat generated plus half Li square. Li square. So this half Li square must be your energy stored in the inductor. Now in which form this energy is stored? So remember, whenever there is a current flowing through your inductor or solenoid, there is a magnetic field generated. And as is the case with electric field, you must have studied electric field heat, electric field energy is stored in case of capacitors. So as is the case of electric field, here this energy is stored in the form of magnetic field inside your inductor. So here you can write U or energy stored. Energy stored is equal to half Li square. That is the energy stored in the inductor when a current of I is passing through the inductor. Now, as we have already studied that I is nothing but what? I is nothing but I naught 1 minus e to the power minus t divided by tau, where tau is the time constant. So if I is a function of time, then energy stored in the inductor will also vary with time. And as the current increases, magnetic field increases, so energy stored also increases. What will happen after some time? After some time, this current will become maximum, saturated, and the energy stored in the inductor will also become saturated. After that, total amount of work done by the battery will go to the resistor and heat produced. So up to certain time until your current becomes maximum. Energy stored in the inductor keeps on increasing. But once your current is maximum, energy also reaches its saturation point. So energy is stored in the inductor if, remember, if there is no current flowing through the inductor, then there is no energy stored. So if a current of I is flowing through an inductor of inductance L, then energy stored may be written as half Li square. Pause the video, note down, then we will discuss further. So let us try to solve a question based on energy stored in an inductor. Now here the question is, a coil with L equals 2 Henry and resistance 20 ohm is connected to a battery of EMF 4 volt. Find energy stored in inductor 0.2 second after the connection is made. Meaning at t equal to 0, this switch is closed. So we have to find the energy stored in this inductor 0.2 second after the switch was closed. Very easy question. You may try to solve it yourself first. Now very easy. We know the formula. What is energy stored? Energy stored we have derived is half Li square. Now I as a function of t is there. So I will have to find current first at t equals 0.2 second. So first let us try to find how much current is there at t equals 0.2 second. So I will be equal to I naught 1 minus e to the power minus of R t by L, like this. So what is I naught? I naught is nothing but EMF of the cell divided by resistance. So 4 by 20. 4 by 20. 1 minus e to the power. What is R? R is your 20. What is t? 0.2. What is L? 2. So 20 into 0.2, that will be 4. 4 divided by 2, that will be 2. So e to the power minus 2, like this. So I will be equal to 4 by 20. 4 by 20 will be your how much? 0.2. So 4 by 20 is 0.2, yes. 0.2 multiplied by 1 minus e to the power minus 2 will be approximately 0.14. So that will be how much? I will be equal to 0.2. 1 minus 0.14 will be your 0.86. And if I solve this, I get I approximately equal to 2, 16, 17. Yes, 0.172 ampere. So your current at 0.2 second through this circuit is your 0.172 ampere. Now what I want energy stored. So energy stored is nothing but not E. You write it as U. U will be equal to half L I square, like this. So we already know half L is 2 Henry and I is 0.17 square, approximately 0.17. Now 17 square is how much? 17 square is your 289. So half into 2 is 1. Let us write that properly. 2 is 1 and that is 289. So that will be 0.0289. And if you make it approximation, round off, that will be around 0.03 joule. So energy is stored in your inductor at t equals 0.2 second will be approximately 0.3 joule. Now if you want, let us solve it a little bit further. It is not given in the question. Now what can be the maximum energy stored in your inductor? Now remember, maximum energy will be there when current will be maximum. Now what is the maximum current? Maximum current is 4 by 20, that is 0.2 ampere. So U max, maximum energy stored will be half into 2 into I max square, like this. So half into 2 is 1, I max is how much? 0.2. 0.2 square is how much? 0.04. So maximum energy stored is 0.04 joules. So 3/4 of the maximum energy has been achieved in just 0.2 second. So theoretically it takes infinite amount of time, but practically it is very fast. Pause the video, note it down. Let us try to solve another question based on energy stored in an inductor. Here the question is, an LR circuit having time constant 50 millisecond is connected to an ideal battery of EMF. Find time taken for energy stored in inductor to reach half its maximum value. Now, we have already studied that what is energy stored? Energy stored is half Li square, like this. And this will be maximum when? When current will become maximum. So this energy is half of, not here, this energy is half of maximum value. What is maximum value? Half L I naught square. This is maximum value. So half of maximum value is this value. So half L cancel, half L cancel. Twice of I square is equal to I naught square. So I is nothing but I naught divided by root 2. So when energy stored in the inductor is half of the maximum value, current through the inductor is I naught by root 2, by root 2 of maximum value. So when current becomes this, your energy stored will become half. So let us write the current. I equals I naught 1 minus e to the power minus of t by tau, like this. Now I is how much? I should be I naught by root 2 when energy stored becomes half of maximum value. So I naught by root 2 equals I naught 1 minus e to the power minus of t by tau, like this. So I naught cancel. E to the power minus of t divided by tau may be written as 1 minus 1 by root 2, like this. Now root 2 is how much? Root 2 is approximately 1.44 and 1 by 1.44 is approximately 0.7. So this value will be how much? This value will be approximately your how much? 1 minus, yes, approximately 0.3, like that. If I take log of both sides, log base e here also, log base e here also. So this will become minus of t divided by tau, and this would become ln 0.3. Now nobody expects you to remember how much is 0.3, but what you can do is you can use the log table. So this comes out to be approximately minus of 1.2. So minus of t divided by 50 millisecond is equal to minus of 1.2. Minus minus cancel. T will be equal to 1.2 times 50 times 10 to the power minus 3. So 1.2 times 50 is how much? Around 60. So 60 millisecond. So at what time energy stored in the inductor reaches half its maximum value? It reaches half its maximum value at t equals 60 millisecond. That is a very short period of time after your switch is closed. Now in order to solve these kind of question in the exam, sometimes they give you the values ln 0.3 or some of the values they give you. But if they have not given you, you should remember some of the standard values and you should know how to use the log table. Now let us try to understand that what is energy density of a magnetic field. In order to create the formula, in order to derive the formula, we will take the help of an inductor or a solenoid. So what is the magnetic field inside a solenoid? Let us suppose I take a solenoid with n turns per unit length. So magnetic field inside a solenoid may be written as mu naught n times I, where I is the current flowing through the solenoid and small n is the number of turns per unit length. Now what is the inductance of a solenoid? Self-inductance. Self-inductance of a solenoid, if you remember the formula, mu naught n square pi r square times L. That is the self-inductance of a solenoid. Now energy is stored in a solenoid in form of magnetic field, because where is that energy stored? That energy is stored in nothing but in the form of magnetic field. Electric field and magnetic field are nothing but a form of energy. So whenever there is a magnetic field created by the solenoid, means there is an energy stored in that solenoid, in that magnetic field. So energy stored, we have already derived energy stored, U will be equal to half L I square, where L is the self-inductance, I is the current flowing through the solenoid at a given time. Remember, if current changes, energy stored in the magnetic field or in the solenoid changes. So half Li square. So let us write that U equals half, what is your inductance? This much, half mu naught N square pi R square L times I square, like this. Now what is your field? Field is mu naught N I. So here I have mu naught, here I have N, here I have I square. Now if I multiply and divide by mu naught, then what I will get? Divided by mu naught, multiply and divide by mu naught. No problem, one cancel. So here I can write it as, if I rearrange this, here I have mu naught, here I have mu naught square. Here it is N square, here it is I square. So can I write it like this? Mu naught N I whole square pi R square and L. What is pi R square? Area. What is L? Volume of your solenoid. So write that as volume of the solenoid. Divided by twice of mu naught, 2 mu naught, like this. What is this mu naught Ni square? Mu naught Ni square is your magnetic field inside the solenoid. So mu equals magnetic field square times volume divided by twice of mu naught. Now, so here if I divide this volume here, I will get what? I will get energy stored divided by volume equals B square divided by twice mu naught. So this is what? U is the energy stored in the solenoid, V is the volume of the solenoid. So we are talking about just the region of the solenoid, not outside the solenoid. So here U by V is the energy stored inside the solenoid. Density of the energy stored. U is the energy stored, V is the volume. So that is energy density. Energy divided by volume. In the area, in the volume of the solenoid, how much is energy stored divided by volume? That is U by V. So energy density. Energy density equals B square divided by twice mu naught. That is your energy density in a magnetic field. Now remember, even though if we have derived this formula assuming the case of an ideal solenoid, this formula will be valid for any kind of magnetic field. If there is a magnetic field which is not generated by a solenoid, then also if you want to know the energy density of that magnetic field, this will be correct. Now remember, this is the case when there is no material inside the solenoid. There is nothing material is there. So that is the case when energy density is B square divided by twice mu naught. Pause the video, note it down. Now let us talk about that what happens when two inductors are connected in series like this. So here I have drawn a circuit diagram. Here inductor L1 and L2 are connected in series across a resistor R and they are connected across a battery of EMF. Now let us try to write the equation for this. So if I make a loop like this and assume current to be I, then how I can write the equation? I can write the equation as EMF of the battery. Here I am going against in the direction of current, so minus of I times R. And here let us assume that current is increasing. So this will become plus and this will be minus. Same way here, this will be plus, this will be minus. So what I can say? I can say minus of L1 di by dt minus of L2 di by dt equals 0. Now remember, in this case we are neglecting the mutual inductance of these two inductors on each other. That we are neglecting here. So we are assuming that they have no mutual inductance on each other. So like this I can write the equation. Now let us modify this a little bit. So can I write it like this? EMF minus IR equals, or let us say minus of, here can I take di by dt common? I can take di by dt common. So minus of di by dt common and inside will be L1 plus L2 like this. So this can be written as EMF minus IR minus L equivalent di by dt like this equals 0. Meaning in place of here L1 and L2, if I place L equivalent, then there will be no change in the parameters of my circuit. What is the value of L equivalent here? L equivalent here is L1 plus L2. So in case two inductors are connected in series, their inductance, equivalent inductance can be written as L1 plus L2, meaning I can draw this circuit like this. I can redraw this circuit like this. There, this is L equivalent, this is R, this is battery. So there is no difference between this circuit and this circuit. So I have replaced two inductors by an equivalent inductor. L equivalent may be written as L1 plus L2. Now remember, here we are ignoring mutual inductance. Ignoring mutual inductance of these two inductors on each other. Pause the video, note it down. Now we have just seen that what is the equivalent inductance if two inductors are connected in series. Now in that formula we had ignored that mutual inductance is there, meaning these two inductors have no effect over each other. Now what if that is not true? What if there is an mutual inductance? In that case there arises two cases. So let us talk about case number 1. If mutual inductance is not ignored, this is a little bit above what is given in your syllabus, but still. Now there can be two cases. Number 1 case, that magnetic field produced by these two are in the same direction. For example, if I take this marker and start wounding this wire. So suppose that I am wounding this wire as clockwise. In the middle of the winding, I hold this wire and start wounding anti-clockwise. Like this. So you can try it yourself in your home. So what I was doing initially, if the current comes like this, initially the current will come clockwise. And after I have reversed the direction, current will go anti-clockwise. So that's how magnetic field produced by these two inductors will be in opposite direction. So if the magnetic field produced by these two inductors is in opposite direction, then what will happen? Then these two inductors will they will cancel out each other's your inductance. How that will work? So let us assume that for first case that field produced by them is in opposite direction. This is a little bit above your syllabus, but you can just check it out. Now, how they can be in opposite direction? Because current is going in the same. They can be opposite direction because one here can be, let us say, anti-clockwise, here it is clockwise. Both can be possible. How? At your home, just take a string. Take a pen, start wounding the string in your anti-clockwise direction, let us say initially. Initially it is clockwise. After, let us say, 10 turns. Hold the wire with one finger. Hold the wire like this, one finger. And now start wounding anti-clockwise, opposite direction. Now take a look. If you pass the current through initial 10 turns, current is going clockwise. Through the next 10 turns, current is going anti-clockwise. So these two 10 turns, they will oppose each other's magnetic field. So like this. There is the situation. For them, let us say it is anti-clockwise wounding. For them, it is anti-clockwise winding. Meaning winding of each other is in opposite direction. So current will be in the opposite direction. For one, it will be clockwise. For other, it will be anti-clockwise. Or for this, it will be anti-clockwise. For that, it will be clockwise. Opposite to each other. So they will oppose each other's magnetic field. In that case, what you will write? In that case, you can write, let us write the equation. EMF minus of IR. Now when you write EMF produced across this, that will not be just L1. that will not be just L1. That will be what? That will be minus of L1, and there is a mutual inductance, and mutual inductance is such that they are opposing each other's magnetic field. So minus L1, so this L1 minus of M, like this you will write. So that will be di by dt. So this will be your EMF produced across this inductor. In the same way, what would be EMF produced across the second inductor? Minus of L2 minus of M di by dt equals 0. Why I am writing L2 minus M and L1 minus M? Because magnetic field produced by these two inductors are opposing each other. That is why L1 minus M, L2 minus M, where M is your mutual inductance. So like this. Now let us simplify this. So EMF minus IR minus of, take di by dt common, what you will get? Minus of L1 plus L2 minus of twice M di by dt, like this. So if this equals 0, so here this can also be written as EMF minus IR minus of L equivalent di by dt, like this, equals 0. So here L equivalent will be equal to L1 plus L2 minus of twice of M. So that will be equivalent inductance of two inductors connected in series if your mutual inductance is not ignored. If the mutual inductance is ignored, then you can simply write L1 plus L2 plus L3 plus so on, whatever. If it is not ignored, then L1 plus L2 minus 2M. For more than two inductors, that will be a little bit complicated. So if there are more than two inductors, generally they will ignore mutual inductance. Pause the video, note it down. Now we have just discussed that what if field produced by them, these two inductors, are opposing each other. How is that possible? If I wound the coils in opposite direction, that's all. Now what if field produced by them is in same direction? What if they support each other's magnetic field? What will happen then? So if they support each other's magnetic field, then they will increase each other's inductance. So if I talked about total inductance of this inductor, then there will be two components. One will be self-inductance plus the other will be mutual inductance. In the previous case, mutual inductance we were subtracting. Why? Because they were opposing each other's magnetic field. Here, if they support each other's magnetic field, then mutual inductance will be added. Now let us try to write the equation in this case. What I will write the equation? EMF minus I times R minus. Here I will write L1, and since here they are supporting each other's field, L1 plus M di by dt minus L2 plus M di by dt, and total equal 0, like this. And if you want to simplify, EMF minus IR minus bracket L1 plus L2 plus twice of M di by dt, like this, equals 0. So that will be EMF minus IR minus of L equivalent di by dt. So here L equivalent will be how much? L equivalent L1 plus L2 plus twice of M. So that way you can find the total or equivalent inductance of two inductors connected in series if their mutual inductance is not ignored. Now remember, if the coils are wound in the same sense, same direction, then they will support each other's magnetic field. But if the coils are wound such a way that half of the coil, one coil is in the clockwise, other coil is in the anti-clockwise, that is the current flowing. So they will oppose each other. So then here it will be minus. For more than 3, it will be little bit complicated. So we will leave that. So up to 2 you can consider mutual inductance. If you ignore the mutual inductance, then it is easy. Whatever number is there, L1 plus L2 plus L3 and so on, you can do it. Pause the video, note it down. So let us solve one very easy question before we move on to the parallel combination. So here the question is, two coils of L1, inductance, self-inductance, L1 equals 0.01 Henry and L2 equals 0.03 Henry are connected in series. If mutual inductance is 0.01 Henry, then equivalent self-inductance will be. Now, if you pay attention, in this question, they have not given us whether these two coils will support each other or oppose each other. I can have it both way, whether they can support each other's magnetic fields or they can oppose each other's magnetic field. So, since they have not given that what kind of situation there is and mutual inductance is given, if the mutual inductance was not given, you could simply assume that mutual inductance is not there. But since it is given, you will have to take two cases. Case number one, what you will take case number one? Case one will be they support each other, or if you want you can take they oppose each other, no problem. They support each other, meaning field produced by them is in the same direction. So if they support each other, what you can write? You can write L equivalent equals to L1 plus L2 plus twice of mutual inductance. So L equivalent will be L1 0.01 plus L2 0.03 plus 2 times M. What is M? 0.01, like this. So total will be how much? 0.04 plus 0.02, 0.06. So total inductance will be 0.06 Henry if they support each other. Since in the question it is not given what is the case, I will have to take both the conditions. So what will be case 2? Case 2, if they oppose each other. Oppose each other. What is the meaning of oppose each other? That they produce magnetic fields such that those two magnetic fields are in the opposite direction. If one is going from right to left, other is going from left to right, like that. So if they oppose each other, L equivalent will be equal to L1 plus L2 minus of twice M. Now, so L1 is 0.01 Henry plus L2 is 0.03 Henry minus of 2 times 0.01 Henry, like this. So that will be how much? 0.04 minus 0.02. So that will be L equivalent equals 0.02 Henry. So you see here, same inductors, same two inductors are connected in series, but depending upon whether they are supporting each other or they are opposing each other, their total equivalent inductance may be different. Pause the video, note it down, then we will talk about the parallel combination of inductors. So now let us talk about that what will be equivalent self-inductance if two or more than two inductors are connected not in series but in parallel. We have already talked about series combination. So here they are connected in parallel. Now let us see, if I want to write the equation, then what I will write? First equation, let us say what I can say is I current. Say that current flowing through the battery is I. Here I1 current is flowing through inductor 1, I2 is flowing through inductor 2 and I3 is flowing through inductor 3. So can I write like this? I will be equal to I1 plus I2 plus I3. This will be equation number 1. Correct? Here that is I, that is I1 plus I2 plus I3. Here again this will be I. So total current. Now another way I can write, if I want to write potential difference. So see here, these three are connected in parallel. And since they are connected in parallel, potential difference across them must be same. Because in parallel combination, potential difference is same. And what is the potential difference across each of them? Here it will be L1 minus of L1 di1 by dt. Here it will be minus of L2 di2 by dt. So let us write. So can I write V1 equals minus of L1 di1 by dt. Same way, here I can write V2 equals minus of L2 di2 by dt, like this. And what will be V3? V3 will be minus of L3 di3 by dt. Like this I can write. Now, if I differentiate first equation, here, what I can say? Can I write it like this? Di by dt equals di1 by dt plus di2 by dt plus di3 by dt. Like this. Now from here, can I write it like this? di1 by dt is nothing but V1 divided by L1. And all of these have same potential difference. So let us write that as equal to V. So let us write potential difference across these 2 points as V. Like this. So di1 by dt may be written as V by L1. So can I write it here? di by dt equals V by L1 plus V by L2 plus V by L3, like this. And what is di by dt? If I remove all of them and place an equivalent inductor like this. Here your resistor is there. Let us write that R. Here current I is going. Here I removed every one of them and placed an equivalent, L equivalent. So what should be the potential difference across this L equivalent? L equivalent di by dt, and potential difference across this will remain same because in the parallel combination potential difference is same. So here V is nothing but L equivalent di by dt. So di by dt may be written as V divided by L equivalent from that circuit. EMF is same. This is equivalent circuit. So V by L equivalent equals V by L1 plus V by L2 plus V by L3. Cancel V from the numerator. What you will get? You will get 1 by L equivalent equals 1 by L1 plus 1 by L2 plus 1 by L3, like that. So in case of equivalent connection, in case of parallel connection, equivalent self-inductance may be written as 1 by L equivalent equals to 1 by L1 plus 1 by L2 plus 1 by L3, and if there are more than 3, so L plus L4 plus so on, so that you can write. Very easy to remember. Why? Because the same rule is followed when you talk about series and parallel combination of resistors. So if you remember the resistors, then conductor or inductors remembering is very easy. Inductors and your resistors follow the same law or same principle when connected in series or parallel. In case of capacitors, it is reverse. So pause the video, note it down, then we will discuss further. Let us solve a question based on series parallel combination of 2 or more than 2 inductors. So here I have 4 inductors and I have connected them in a circuit like this. And I have to find equivalent inductance across points A and this point B. Now how I can do it? Here as you can see, these two L1 and L3, they are connected in series. And this arm is connected in parallel with this arm. So here I can write equivalent circuit. Here equivalent circuit will be like this. L equivalent 1 and here L equivalent 2, and they are connected in parallel to each other. So first let us find L equivalent 1. What will be that? L1 plus L3 because they are in series, and then L equivalent 2. So L equivalent 2, that will be L2 plus L4, and these two are connected in parallel with each other. So what will be? Total 1 by L equivalent will be equal to 1 by this L1 plus L3 plus 1 by L2 plus L4 like this. So what will be L equivalent? L equivalent will be your L1 plus L3 bracket L2 plus L4 divided by L1 plus L2 plus L3 plus L4. That will be your total equivalent inductance across A and B. So in case of inductors, you can do same as you do in case of resistors. In case of, suppose that in place of these inductors there were resistors, then also you would have done the same. First you would have added them in series, then these two in parallel, same way. So here you can do it like this. Now let us change it a little bit. Now what if, okay, first pause the video, note it down. Now what if I add here, if I add these 2 points by a connecting wire, if I add them by a connecting wire, then what will happen? In that case, this what we have derived is no longer valid. Now what will happen? Now if you pay attention, these 2 points have same potential. So let us say that this is point P, this is point Q. Now since they are connected by a connecting wire which has almost zero resistance, so these 2 points have same potential, meaning L1 and L2 are in parallel now, and L3 and L4 are in parallel now, and these two combinations are connected in series with each other. So if I want to draw the equivalent circuit now, what it will look like? It will look like something like this. First L equivalent and then second L equivalent. Now the circuit has changed. So now what will be the case? L equivalent 1. Now these two, L1 and L2, are connected in parallel. So what will be L equivalent 1? L1 L2 divided by L1 plus L2. What will be L equivalent 2? You can follow all the rules of resistors. So L equivalent 2 will be equal to how? L3 and L4 are connected in parallel. So L3 L4 divided by L3 plus L4 like this. And what will be equivalent? They are connected in series now. So total L equivalent will be equal to L equivalent 1 plus L equivalent 2 like this. So that will be your L1 L2 divided by L1 plus L2 plus L3 L4 divided by L3 plus L4. That will be your total L equivalent. So in case of series and parallel combination of your inductors, you can do the equation or solution same way as you do in case of series and parallel combination of resistors. Pause the video, note it down. Now most of the students tend to forget what they have studied earlier. So let me refresh your memory and let us try to solve a question based on mutual inductance. Now here the question is, figure shows two concentric coils with radii A and B. So here we have two coils, inner radii A, outer radii B, where A is very smaller than B. A current I is equal to twice T flows through inner loop. So through inner loop twice T current is flowing. Neglecting self-inductance of larger loop. Neglecting self-inductance of larger loop, find. What you have to find? Number A. Mutual inductance. Okay, not A and B. You will get confused. Let us write 1 and 2. So number 1, you have to find the mutual inductance of two coils. Number 2, EMF induced in the larger coil. Now, here they have given me the current through smaller loop. If I say take the current through smaller loop, the field produced will be uneven. Field produced across all these points will not be same. So, if you remember mutual inductance concept, it does not matter how we calculate mutual inductance. Mutual inductance of two coils depends upon what? Depends upon their geometrical shape. So it does not matter where the current is flowing, how much the current is flowing, your mutual inductance value remains same. So in order to calculate mutual inductance, let us assume that a current I dash is flowing through the bigger loop. Now if the current I dash is flowing through the bigger loop, what can be written the field at this center due to this I dash? Now remember, we are talking about finding the mutual inductance. I can find however I want. Does not matter how much current is flowing through here, my mutual inductance will remain same. So for now, let us ignore this current. Let us ignore this current flowing through inner circuit. So B will be equal to how much? Mu naught I dash divided by twice of radius. So here I have assumed current through bigger coil, so radius B. So that is the field at the center. And since A is very smaller than B, I can assume that this field is uniform through this entire area of smaller loop. So what will be the flux? Now remember, flux will be taken only through this loop, not outside this. Why? Because field at the center is this much. Field throughout is not this much. So flux through smaller coil. Flux through smaller coil will be how much? Flux through smaller coil will be field mu naught I dash divided by twice B multiplied by area of the smaller coil. What is the area of the smaller coil? Pi A square. This is flux. And according to Faraday's law, I can write EMF induced in the smaller coil. For now, we are ignoring that there is anything such that this current. So what will be the EMF induced? EMF induced in smaller coil may be written as minus of d phi by dt. Minus of d phi by dt. That may also be written as, if you remember, minus of m di dash by dt, like this. So what is d phi by dt here? Differentiate this. Mu naught pi A square divided by twice of B, like this, and that would be equal to m times, or already write at di dash by dt, m times di dash by dt. Di dash by dt cancel, m is equal to mu naught pi A square divided by twice of B. So that is your mutual inductance between these two coils. Now remember, does not matter which current you take, how you calculate, mutual inductance is quantity which depends upon geometrical shape. So even though I have taken current here and calculated like that, this mutual inductance will remain same even if you calculate current through smaller coil and field. But in that case, it will be a slightly difficult case. Why? Because here I could take field through this entire area to be same. But if you take current through this coil, then you cannot take field through this entire area or through this bigger area to be same. That is why it will be a little bit difficult. So to avoid that difficulty, I have assumed a current I dash in the bigger coil and based on that calculated my mutual inductance. So that way you can do it. Now second question, what is the EMF induced in the larger coil? So if I talk about EMF induced in the larger coil and if I ignore what is the self-inductance of larger coil? So if you remember the concept, then what was it? EMF induced in the larger coil is nothing but minus of, remember, EMF will be only induced in the larger coil if current through smaller coil changes. If current through smaller coil does not change, there will be no EMF induced. So EMF induced in the larger coil is nothing but minus of m times rate of change of current in the smaller coil. So minus of mu naught pi A square divided by twice of B. And what is di by dt? Current through the smaller coil is given as twice T. So di by dt will be 2. So multiplied by 2, 2 cancel. So EMF induced in the larger coil will be mu naught pi A square divided by 2 volts. So remember, I am saying it again and again, that mutual inductance is depending upon your geometrical shape. So it does not matter how you calculate, it will remain same. But in some cases it is easier to calculate. Here I have taken I dash in the larger coil. What was the benefit of that? I could take magnetic field through this entire smaller region to be same. Why? Because A is very smaller than B. If you would have taken I here, then you cannot take magnetic field anywhere to be same. Magnetic field will different in this entire area. Then calculating the flux will be very difficult for you. That is why I took I dash through the larger coil and then calculated your mutual inductance. Pause the video, note it down. So this was your lecture number 7 for electromagnetic induction. In this lecture, we have talked about what is the energy stored in an inductor, what is an energy density of magnetic field. We have also talked about how you can calculate equivalent equivalent inductance in case two inductors are connected in series. There are also two parts in that, if they support each other or they oppose each other. We have also talked about that how you can calculate equivalent inductance when two or more inductors are connected in parallel to each other. So in the next lecture, we will be talking about how we can use the concept of electromagnetic induction to generate AC current. We will also talk about what is AC and what is DC. Until then, revise your concept, try to solve as many problems as you can, and if you have any doubt, just drop a message in your doubt group.